Now, how do you describe the African concept of God? I think this is important. Now we're looking for how you understand it, how you describe it to people who do not know or do not know it enough.
Okay, the African concept of God differs from other concepts in that God's name is pronounced with awe. You know, God's name to us is a mystery. And so we don't pronounce it by heart. We don't just use it by heart in human life, in everyday life. We pronounce it or we call God's name for a reason, you know. I remember when I was describing a human being in college, San Francisco State University in California. My friends, some of my friends, and especially my American white friends, wanted to laugh at me, or they didn't understand where I was coming from. For instance, the question of yesterday.
Do you know that telling a story is one of the most powerful ways to connect with your audience? Do you know that the human brain processes story much more easily and quickly than facts and figure? Stories are a great way to engage your audience, get them interested in your products and services, and inspire them to take action. A good story will help you create more compelling content that can be shared on social media or through other channels. And it's not just about telling a compelling story, it's also about knowing how to tell it effectively. Now, do you want to better connect with your audience? Then join us on our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehiair14.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful way to connect with your audience, so let's explore it together. See you in the class.
Putting yesterday into context. A friend of mine who was white helped me to get a book. I'm using all these examples to underscore our concept of the supreme being, God, or the anthropomorphic God that is created in Nzima. That friend helped me get a book. And when we met on campus in San Francisco, I called him, "Hello, Joe, good morning." And he responded, "Hi, Joseph, good morning. And thank you very much for yesterday." And he couldn't understand what I mean or what I meant. Thank you for yesterday. Joseph, what does that mean? Then I said, well, this is what, through the mercy of God, you did to me yesterday. So look, everything God, God, God. Do you think that if you don't use God, you couldn't have, or I couldn't have helped you to get the book. Then I said, yes, I know. You could have done it, but maybe you don't understand what is behind your life. Every day is a day of life, of living with experiences. And the Supreme God or the anthropomorphic God made it so. So we have a different sense or reason of God than other people, especially Europeans. With the advent of science and technology, they pride themselves as whatever, semi-god or whatever. But they have entirely forgotten, or they have relegated God who created them. And of course, something they weren't created. Of course, they have evolution. You go to America in the schools, you can't preach or you can't talk about God. You can't talk about uh, dreams about God or whatever it is, especially in the elementary and secondary schools. A teacher is not supposed to talk about God. For us here, we have religious classes and God is taught in our schools. So that tells you that our concept of God is entirely different from the European concept of God. But on the other hand, they think they know God better than us and that they want to proselytize, proselytize us. They want to teach us who God is by giving us biblical names as first names. And in their society, parents give biblical names to their children. Mary, Susanna, etc., etc. But ours is different. Thank you.
Something that actually I was wondering is this one. Because when you were explaining, you did make mention of creation. That get me really curious. How did we get into the concept of creation? And how is creation explained in your own culture?
Okay, creation is easy to talk about. You know, science doesn't believe in creation, believes in evolution. But I think in every society, we have the concept of creation. God wasn't created, but He had the power to create everything in the universe, you know, whether we know it or not. Even the concept of scientific inventions and all that, knowledge and all that, was revealed to us through either dreams, you know, or otherwise, intuition, you know. So The concept of creation has been with us, since the beginning. It's only recently that we are fighting to put creation aside and add evolution. Everything evolved. A human being wasn't created. A human being evolved to be who she or he is today. And the argument goes on. Like I said, in the United States, where I did my higher education, you can't talk about creation or whatever it is in schools, although you may have heard it from your parents, but that's it. Now, philosophically speaking, if you take creation away, and replace it with evolution, how would you want to talk about everything that you see? Are we going to say that human beings were created, so God too was created? It's impossible. You don't know God. So how would you say she or he, was created and not evolved? And evolved from what? So creation has come to stay with us for explaining several things. And if the time comes that creation will be abandoned and replaced with evolution, we don't know yet.
Thank you for that. I like the last part, we don't know yet. You see, in the beginning, when we were talking of names, I told you that my son name, which is the name of my father or my family name, is L14, which means that we can never get to the limit of knowledge, to a point where we say we know it all. We are always learning. And I think this is important. And because we are always learning, it is important that we ask questions. We continue to ask questions and make an attempt to provide solution to our curiosity. I think that is basically the essence of the whole struggle at the end of the day. Because if we already know everything, I think life is going to be boring.